good. Yeah, you can turn that down. Hi, everybody. Hello. Thanks for coming out. This is very odd for me. If you've ever seen me do comedy before, you know I have a very short attention span, and I don't generally stick to whatever I'm doing. I know many of you don't even know that I have jokes, since I never tell them when I'm in your presence. But tonight I have a notebook full of notes so that I can keep on track, because I have a thing I want to talk about. Here's the thing. This is what I'm not going to do a stand-up comedy routine for you tonight. I'm doing what they call a one-man show, and what that means is that I don't have to worry if it's funny. That's the beauty of doing a one-man show, is I don't have to worry about making you laugh. I don't give a shit about that. I can do whatever I want. In fact, the parts of this is not going to be funny. So if at any point you're sitting there going, this isn't funny, that's planned. That's intentional. Don't worry. Don't worry. The funny is coming, I think. I hope. And if not, you know what? Afterwards, we don't ever have to speak again. That's the other beautiful thing about tonight. If anybody wanted that table, I've commandeered it for the rest of the evening. Don't try and take it from me. Can everybody see me? You're good. You're my friend. It's always good to have familiar faces right in the front. And all of the Boston comedy here to fucking just I just want you to know that because you came to my one-man show, when you guys get I don't want you to think that in 10 years when you put a one-man, I'm going to be coming to yours. I just want to make that clear. This is not a quid pro quo. So if you're here so that you can ensure my attendance when you get on stage and waste everybody's time, don't count on it. This is good. Thank you guys for coming out. My name is Sean Sullivan. How about a nice round of applause for all the comedians on the show tonight? They're all my friends, and I wanted them here. And for Nate and for Tom and Benny for having us. So this show is called Inconceivable, and I'm gonna do it. I could just riff for an hour if you guys would rather me do that. I think I'd be more comfortable just working the crowd, if that's cool. Okay, I'll do I made the notes and stuff, so I might as well stick to the thing. This is what I do called stalling. Don't look. I'm as uncomfortable as you are with all of this. Have you seen me before? So you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just a random crazy guy. You've never... Okay, well that's good. I always like one or two people in the show go, this guy is unstable. I'm going to put this here to... That's what I call a crutch. It's a literal crutch. At any point, if I'm leaning on that means my knees are giving out. I'm with knees. So this is good. Okay, so when I was 15 years old, I went to a going-away party for a girl that I spent the summer staring at. And what I wanted to be doing at the time was I wanted to be longing. But I was 15, I didn't know how to long for a person, so I stared instead. And it wasn't like in a creepy way, like it was a creep. It wasn't through like a window, or like I wasn't hiding in bushes or anything like that. But it was my secret. I never told anybody why I was, and I never got caught, which is also, I would have thought I would have gotten caught, because I stared a lot. When I did a lot of this, it was just like I would stare, and then as soon as somebody would catch my glaze, I would just, no. And nobody ever caught me, which is amazing with the amount of staring I did. I'm still to this day, because that makes it worse, right, that I never got caught. Like, if they had been like, what are you staring at? You'd be like, oh, you're just a fat kid in love. Like, but instead it was like my little secret, and that's way weirder and worse. We were in a play at the time. When I was a kid, I was into theater. We were in a musical over the summer called Guys and Dolls, and it was at this place called the Cappuccini School of Performing Arts, which sounds much loftier than it actually is. It sounds like it's like this private arts academy in the woods in New Hampshire where we all put on blazers and we play little harps and we quote Shakespeare, but that's It's not that at all. It's like a dilapidated building in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts, which if you're not familiar with the Bridgewaters of Massachusetts, East is in third place of the three. So, and I started going there when I was in the second grade because I was very shy, and my parents thought that would bring me out of my shell, and I really took to it, which was surprising to them because I was incredibly shy and reserved. But I would go there for an hour once a week, and we'd do these little improv games, and we'd sing songs, and we'd do dances, and at the end of the year, everybody would gather, and they'd do this big recital in front of everybody's parents. You'd put on these faggy little costumes, and I say faggy, I don't mean it in any kind of, like, there's just no other way to describe like a husky 8-year-old boy who's wearing white pants, a white turtleneck, and a red imitation sequin tuxedo jacket and matching cummerbund. Like, that is faggy. I think I'm clear on that. But I enjoyed it a lot, and I kept going back year after year, even though once a year I had to dress up like a boy contestant on Toddlers and Tiaras. I kept going to the place because that's where all my friends. I had like a small group of people who I was close with in high school, but they didn't go to the Capuchoni school. They were all separate. Like, it was two different worlds, and like I very quickly like started spending all my time there, and like by the time I was in high school, I was going there 2 or 3 nights a week, and I was meeting all these like different kids that I wasn't in high school. My high school friends were great, but I was getting, you can attest, I was getting kind of bored of you guys, and I would see you guys every goddamn day since the second fucking grade. It's like at a certain point, you're just like, Jesus, I need something else, and that place was that place for me. And I would go there, and by the time I was 15, they were doing musicals over the course of the summer. They would do these 6-week musicals, and you would go every day, and on the first day of rehearsals, I met this girl, and I was instantly smitten with her, like just immediately. And I think everybody was. She was very, very nice, and like everybody seemed to like her, and I registered her like in my head as like my first actual crush. When I was 15, I was like, I'll acknowledge her, and I'll mark it down in my book as like, this is the first. Like, I had crushes on like celebrities, like Jennifer Aniston at the time was like, ooh, can't do better than that. She's got like this is like 1998. She's like, right, she's just coming out of that first haircut on Friends. Everybody's like, yeah, like she's on the Rolling Stone cover. I was like, but that's completely ridiculous. She wouldn't date me now, let alone when I was 15. Mostly because that would be completely illegal. It would be illegal. But this crush was within the realm of possibility. Like, I knew I was never going to act upon this or say anything, but I knew that it was a possibility that could happen, right? And but on the first day of rehearsal, she announced that at the end of the summer, she was going to be moving to Connecticut with her family, and I was like, perfect! Yeah! This is it! That's all I need to hear. That gives me the excuse I need to be completely emotionally unavailable all summer. I don't have to ever worry about having to express myself or be a real boy. I can just sit here and silently stare, and then just do that for the rest of my life. And, yeah. So that... Also, what am I going to say to her? She's moving. She's already having the worst summer of her life. Right? She's moving to Connecticut, which we can all agree is the worst state in New England, right? I could make a case that it's the worst state in the Union, but I got my personal feelings are getting mixed into it, but I think it takes forever to fucking drive through. Have you ever driven through Connecticut? It takes... New York is 4 hours away. It's 3 hours and 35 minutes spent in Connecticut. That state has 2 Indian casinos. You would think they could get enough guys to do a rain dance to wash away the grime on the 95 corridor. You would think, right? It's the grayest fucking state in the world. And she's moving there with her family. She's got no control over that. So what if I come up and I'm just like, I'm sweaty and mumbly and I'm reading her a sonnet? She's going to be like, oh, let me talk to my dad, see if he'll let me stay. And also, I'm 15 years old. What am I going to do with a girlfriend? I don't have a license. She doesn't have a license. What are we going to ride bikes? My mom's going to drop me off at a PG-13 movie. Hopefully I can hold hands through. Like, there's nothing you can do. I had friends that had boyfriends and girlfriends when they were in the 7th grade. That's retarded to me. That's the dumbest thing you can do. What are you going to... It's just dumb. So I was just like, I'm done. I'm just going to fucking sit here, stare. And at the end of the summer, we go to her going away party. And I had no intentions of going to the party because I'm not a fan of group gatherings. And But I was like, this is maybe the last time I'll ever see this girl. And so I was like, all right. So my friend Matt picked me up in a car that he had inherited from his grandmother. It was like a 1978 Chevrolet sailboat. Like, it was like, it had like a 30-foot hood and like a 50-foot trunk. Like, it was the worst. Like, it was completely impractical. Like, you couldn't turn in the car. It had horrible gas mileage. But we took it because we could fit 6 people in the car. It was one of those cars where you could put 3 in the front, and the cops were just like, who gives a fuck? And so I got picked up first, which was good because then I could control and make sure that the other people that we picked up weren't going to talk shit about me before we got to my house. So I'm always afraid that I always like to be early to things, and I always like to leave last because I'm afraid that until I get to the place, the people that are there are talking about how much they hate me. And if I leave early, everybody's just going to go, thank God he's gone. That's a legitimate fear of mine. Like, not here tonight, I'm better than all of you, I'm more handsome and talented, but, so after the show, there's no autographs, I'm going to get right in my car and drive home, but we go, and we end up picking up these, we pick up 3 girls, and we pick up this other guy, and so there's 6 of us in the car, and we get to this going away party, and I don't know where it is because I'm not driving, but the first thing I notice is that there's like a bouncy castle in the backyard, and this is in 1998, and that was like a big deal to me because I hadn't seen that in like 15 years. Like, the last time I'd seen that I was 5 years old at King's Castle Land. That was the last time I'd ever seen a bouncy castle. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, are we in the backyard of a millionaire? Where the fuck are we that they have an inflatable jumping castle? This is insane. And it took everything in me to resist running over and jumping into it, because I was like, this is a unicorn, I'm never going to see this again. Like, right now, like, every weekend, I see bouncy castles, like, in every other yard in my neighborhood. You can't fucking drive around the block without seeing one of these fucking things. But then, I'd not seen one in a long time, but I knew that if I got within 5 feet of that, I would start profusely sweating, because that's what I do. I sweat a lot also. I'm afraid that people are talking shit about me, and I sweat a ton. And also part of me thinks that this going away party is not actually a going away party. Part of me thinks that this is like an elaborate prank, and that we're all going to line up to say goodbye to this girl, and then somebody's going to jump out of a cake and be like, surprise! It's not a going away party, it's a she's in love with you also party. Even though you've shown no outward affection or any kind of emotional interest. It just so happens that she also coincidentally is in love with you, and like a banner drops, it's like, congratulations, enjoy your sophomore year of high school. Here's a bunch of PG-13 movies you can ride your bikes to. And then we hold hands off into the sunset. But that didn't happen because that would be fucking insane. I wouldn't be here because I'd be the luckiest man. I would just be insane. That story happens to you, the craziest fucking thing in the world. I don't need to do this shit. What does happen is the group of people that we're with, who I'm ranked number 6. Out of the 6 people in the car, I know that I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm number 6. I'm low man on the totem pole, but I know that that's where I am. The 5 above me decide that we're going to leave, and we're going to go to a local community theater to see a different group of untalented teenagers do a different summer camp production of West Side Story. And I don't want to go. I want to stay at this party forever, but I don't drive, and I also don't have my bike, and I also don't know where the fuck I am. So I can't even call my dad to be like, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm just gonna sit here alone at this fucking party where no one knows me anymore. So my friends left. So we get in the car, and what should have been an organizational home run quickly gets complicated by the fact that there is a 7th girl that has latched onto our group that I don't know, which throws my whole fucking ranking system out of whack. So I'm like, am I now number 7 or is she number 7? I need to know where I stand. Should I condescend to this girl or should I be nice to her? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Everybody else seems to know her, which is a problem, because when you're in a small group and then somebody joins that group and everybody else in the group knows that, nobody bothers with introductions because it's assumed that you know the other people. If you're hanging out with 6 people, they know the 7th person, they assume you know the 7th person. I did not know the 7th person. I assumed that she was a dance student or something, because I don't take dance classes at the Capuchoni School, because that's dumb. But I'll sing and dance, but I'm not fucking, well, I sing in the, okay, never mind. But stick to the script, here we go. I have a nose hair that's driving me crazy. Here we go. I told my attention span is so small. So what do you do for a living? Okay, here we go. Oh shit, 45 minutes. Here we go. I'm done. Okay, sorry. So what happens is that this seventh girl over the course of the afternoon has lobbed onto our group, and that bothers me because now we have to wait for her to figure out a ride because she's going to go to West Side Story with us, and we don't have room. We have room for 6. We don't have room for 7, and so we have to wait, and we get there late, and we get seated right away, and I sit on the aisle because I'm always afraid that things are going to go to shit real fast, and I'm going to have to make a quick escape, and I'm a little slower than most, so I need as much of a head start as I can get. And through circumstances that to this day I still don't understand, I end up sitting next to this seventh girl that I don't know, which triggered something. Like, I started to lose my shit internally. I kept a cool demeanor on the outside, but in my head I was just like, everything, my whole 15 years on this planet, and this girl moving to Connecticut, everything came to a boil, and it was all because this girl ended up sitting next to me. And I just started fuming, and I was just like, this fucking sucks. I wish I had just gone home. And also the play sucks. It's the worst production of West Side Story I've ever seen. It's horrendous. Riff is like 450 pounds. The gay kid that is with us that doesn't know he's gay yet is talking about how he's trying to make jokes about how he wants to suck Riff's tits, and I'm just like, oh, I got so many jokes that are just gonna fall on deaf ears because I'm sitting next to this fucking moron. And I'm just fuming because I'm just like, I respect the musical theater. I'm just like, you guys are butchering this fucking play. And then intermission comes, and I've just scraped enough money to get a ticket to this thing, so I don't even have money to buy candy to eat my feelings. But fucking Sally Tagalong, who's sitting next to me, she's got plenty of fucking money. She's rubbing it in my face, being like, do you want some of my Skittles? And I was like, on the outside, I was like, no, thank you, because I'm polite. But on the inside, I was like, fuck you and your fucking Skittles. Don't take pity on me, you fucking idiot. And then the second act, amazingly, is worse than the first act. I didn't even know how they did it, but they somehow, and at the end of the show, we all jump out of our seats and we start going crazy, and we're doing a standing ovation, even though they've done nothing to earn any kind of adoration. But we live in this fucking participation trophy society where anybody who does anything, at the end of the show, they all jump up and they clap and cheer. So at the end of this show, if you don't jump up and clap and cheer, I completely understand. I mean, if you want to. If I've earned it, do it. But if not, don't. And I get dropped off first, which is a problem because of my previously mentioned always worry that everyone hates me thing. So I go to my house and my parents go, how was the show? And I blow right through them and I go right up into my room and I sit on my bed and I just fucking fume. I just fucking stew. And this is the angriest I've ever been. And I just project it all. I just imagine this faceless, nameless, dumb fucking bitch that's sitting next to me through this whole thing. I put her 3 feet in front of me, and I throw everything at her. And I pull a pillow over her mouth, and I just... And then I fucking hate go. I have a hate sleep, and I go to sleep. I rage. I pass out from rage. And then 13 years later, that girl wakes me up and says, hey, what do you think if I stop taking birth control? Because it turns out that I didn't actually hate that girl. It turns out that she was actually the best. And a year after that fucking show, I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. I did it with a coat hanger in my mouth, and I was like, hey, you know that thing that we've been talking about? Do you want to... Okay. And then 10 years later, she became my wife, and then in January of 2011, she woke me up one morning, she goes, hey, what do you think if I stop taking birth control? Which is kind of a loaded question, right? What she's saying is, do you want to have a baby? But she's asking it to me in a riddle, which I appreciate because I sure do love guessing games. So I had to consider it, right? But if she had just been hey, do you want to have a baby? I could be nah, probably not, and then we move on. And also, she doesn't need to ask me. That's the beauty of being a girl. If you want to have a baby, you just stop taking birth control. No guy will ever know. She could be like, yeah, I'm taking birth control, I take it 3 times a day. She could have shown me a pack of orange Tic Tacs, and I'd be like, wow, that's really cool that they put them in like that discreet packaging so that you don't have to worry about the stigma of whatever that is. That's like those like tampons the size of fun-sized Snickers. That's pretty, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. And then when she gets pregnant, she can be like, oh, you know, they only say it's 99.999% effective. And I'd be like, you're goddamn right I got that fucking 0.0001% sperm. That's fucking immune to birth control. I can't believe you didn't get pregnant sooner. But since it's generally not the best to conceive a baby under the guise of deception, she asked me. And I thought about it, and I actually considered it in that moment, and I thought, she's been on birth control for like 7 years, which is going to take a toll on a female, the anatomy, I think. I'm not a scientist. I want to let that be known right here and now. So this theory that I'm laying out for you, complete bullshit as far as I'm concerned. 1 out of 1 Sean Sullivans endorses it, but that's about it. I think she's been on birth control for 7 years. That's going to take a number on the old reproductive system. So that's going to take like, what, 3 months to reset? And then I definitely know from, you know, being a human being that it takes 9 months to make a baby. So I'm like, I have a year to get my shit together. This is perfect. Go ahead. And I always knew that when we got married and when we dated, because we had always been together. We've never, ever broken up. We've just been together since I was 16. We've just straight through. We never broke up. We never had any major fights or anything. We've never strayed or cheated on anything. It's just been incredibly simple. But I always knew that children and babies were part of the equation. But I always thought of them the way you think about like the flying car. Right? I was just like, that's gonna come. It's inevitable. Eventually, somebody's going to make a car that flies, and when it comes, it's going to be awesome, and it's going to improve my life in ways that I would never ever have imagined. But I can't put a date on production. That's just like way off in the vague future. But my wife doesn't think that way. She's 29 at the time, and she's looking ahead, and she's seeing the expiration on the lease of her flying car factory. So she's like, we got to rush this thing into production. So she stopped taking birth control in January of 2011, and at the end of the month, she's like all upset that she's not pregnant, which to me just indicates that she's not really hip to the whole 3-month theory that I made up and didn't tell her. And she's crying, and I'm rolling my eyes as she's crying into my shoulder, being like, there, sweetie, it takes time. You know, and then February and March come, and it's the same fucking thing. It's just like, oh, why isn't this happening? I'm like, these things take time, and then I'm like, fucking here comes April. And then, nothing, again. And that's the first time that I consider that my 3-month theory that I've made up might be a little off. I might need to do a little more, you know, research, maybe put out a survey or something. But then I'm like, you know what April showers bring? May also nothing happens at the end of May. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, everybody's different, and, you know, you got to take into account your body mass index. I don't know. I'm trying to like justify it in my head because she's getting more and more upset. But then I'm like, June's coming, and my birthday is in June. Our anniversary is June, so we have ample opportunity to just fucking do it a bunch. And I've been mailing it in pretty much all along. So like, I'm just like, really, like, yeah, get in there real good. And then July comes, and I, you know, I love this country, and nothing happens at the end of July. I'm starting to get real annoyed, and by August, I'm like, hey, why don't we sit down and have a talk about what the fuck is going on? Because I know, based upon no research, that you should have reset your body chemistry after 3 months, and we're at like month 7. So, I don't know if you want to maybe explain to me what's going on, because this is getting kind of annoying. And that is when she stopped being mad that she wasn't getting pregnant, and she started getting mad that she married a fucking moron. And you might be sitting there going like, how is this a problem, right? Like, right, your problem is that you can't get pregnant. What's the solution? You fuck more. How is that a problem? That seems like the greatest fucking thing in the world. But if you've never had sex for procreation, and it's gone difficult. It very quickly becomes a chore, and all of the fun that we all try and have all the time by sticking our wieners in vaginas is gone. That's right out the window, because it's just like she's peeing on some ovulation thing every month and like trying to get a smiley face on some fucking tool that I don't understand, and I'm just going like, I have to be ready at a moment's notice, and it doesn't fucking matter because it's not working anyway. And that's when she explained, like, I finally got frustrated after 7 months. She explained to me that she has never been regular. She's never had like a regular period. And I raise my hand and I say, you're going to have to dumb that down for me. And she explains that for the first 21 years of our lives, she knew that she wasn't pregnant because she'd never had sex. And I was like, okay. And then when we started having sex at the age of 21, she went on birth control right away, and she knew that she wasn't pregnant because she was on birth control. I'm like, okay. And birth control gives you a regular period. And then I go, so you're telling me that all that time that I was falling in love with you, you weren't getting your period. And then I start rattling off a theory that I'm not proud of thinking of this in the moment, and this was absolutely the wrong time to say this, but I've been honest about everything else tonight. I drop this little bit of science on her, and I float this idea by her, and I go, maybe the reason that I've liked you all this time is that you've never had PMS because you've never been premenstrual. This is not the time to go into that idea. So we knew something was wrong, but like good non-scientists, we didn't go see a doctor for another 6 months, because why deny yourself all the heartache and frustration, right? Why would you go see a professional when you can just be angry at each other? And in January of 2012, she went to her doctor. She went to her vagina doctor. She has a couple of doctors. She's like a vagina doctor. She has a regular doctor. I think she might have a butt doctor. The vagina doctor might take care of the butt stuff. I know my regular doctor at some point will take care of all my butt stuff. So, but she goes to the vagina doctor, and the vagina doctor looks at her vagina and the parts that hook up to it, I guess, like the knee bone and the elbow bone and shit. But she looks, everything's in working order, and she just doesn't release her eggs like regularly or at all. If she was here, she could explain it to you. I have no fucking idea. I'm just like, doctor, yeah. But the basic thing that comes out of her visit to the vagina doctor is that if we are going to have a baby, we are not going to be able to do it on our own. We're going to need assistance, which lays out 2 different paths that you can pursue. The first path is adoption, and I don't know if anybody here has ever looked into adoption, but the average adoption last year cost between $25,000 and $30,000. Yeah. I have 2 credit cards with $2,000 limits on them. I would have to get 15 credit cards to maybe get a baby. I don't even know if you can put a baby on a credit card. I don't know if that's an option. I know that I definitely can't get $30,000 cash. And I was like, what if I miss a payment? Are they going to repossess on my baby? Or am I going to fuck up my credit somehow because of this adoption? I thought adoption worked like this. I thought somewhere out in Kansas, there's like a dirty orphanage run by a bunch of shitheads, and I just show up. There's like a bunch of babies in bonnets and flowy gowns, and I pick a white one and I raise it as my own. That's how I thought adoption worked. Or at the very least, it'd be like the musical Annie, where they'd all do like a big production number. I'd pick the cutest one, and we'd save Christmas. But apparently, somewhere along the line, a bunch of middlemen got in the way, and the price went up. So adoption was off the table, which left us to go to what they call a reproductive endocrinologist, which I don't need to explain to you at this point in the show that I don't know what the fuck that is, but basically was a Jewish doctor who, because he had a yarmulke, that's the only way I knew he was Jewish, who basically was like, so God doesn't want you to have a baby. Let me help you spit in God's face. I was like, I'm listening. And I went along with it because just because I'm an asshole. I have a degree in theater, so I always look for fucking the poetry of everything. And I was like, there's something really beautiful about the fact that there's a Jewish doctor about to lead two Catholics down a road that the Catholic Church does not approve of. And it was just like, let me help you defy God's will. So we start. We start talking to this guy, and he outlines what we have to do. And there's two different options. There's what's called in-uterine insemination, which is called an IUI for short. If I say IUI, I mean intrauterine insemination. Well, that's basically where I'll jizz in a cup, and then they'll take that, they'll throw that in a catheter, they'll squirt that at my wife while I sit in the lobby and get cuckolded by science. And I don't know how that is better than what I'm doing. I think we're doing that with the old wiener, and well, apparently you guys got better aim or something. But so, and then the second option is what's called IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, which I don't want to do. I don't know a whole lot about all of this, but in vitro fertilization entails they do this really invasive day surgery where they extract a bunch of eggs out of my wife, and then I come on an ice cube tray. I think they freeze my. I don't think I just come right on the eggs. Like, bombs away! I think they freeze everything and then they do it. But it's fucking weird. And they make a baby outside of the body and then they insert it back into the body. And I was like, it's way too science fiction-y for me. Like, but if that's what we have to do at this point, that's what we're gonna do, because I've spent the last year trying to psych myself up, right? Like, and at this point, I'm 12 months into this whole process, and I'm kind of want this now. A lot of it's motivated by spite, where I'm just like, oh, fuck you, you say I can't have it, I want it more. But a lot of it is like, I've actually put a lot of thought into it, and I'm like, you know what, I think I could do this. I think it would be fun, and it would be rewarding, and I know that's like weird for a male to say out loud that he would like to have a baby, but it does happen. I know, and so if we have to have a fucking Battlestar Galactica baby, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And the guy explains that what's gonna happen first is they're gonna try the intrauterine insemination, whatever, IUI. They're going to do that first, and before they can do that, I have to submit a semen analysis. And I immediately panic because I think he means now. And I've heard a lot of science talk in the last hour of speaking to this guy. I'm not really in the mood to try and produce what do they call it? Jizz. And I think he's going to lead me by the ear, like I'm like doing bad in Catholic school, and he's going to like bring me to a closet, and he's going to open the door, and he's going to push me in, and it's going to be all dark, and I'm going to like fumble for a light switch, and I'm going to pull the chain on the light bulb, and then it's just going to be like it's like a collage of lady parts. It's just like nothing but disembodied vaginas and assholes, and I'm going to get overwhelmed, and I'm going to fall down and pee a little and cry. Or worse, he's going to bring me to like a sterile examination room, which has no stimulation at all. It's just nothing but white walls, and like the only thing in there is like a picture of geese flying in like a V, like a watercolor, like ooh, and I'm gonna be like, can I do anything with that? And I'm gonna have to you got any extra anatomy books lying around? I need something to, but that's not what happens. What happens is he gives me a take-home cup and instructions on how to fill it, which I thought I had mastered at this point in my life, but apparently not. Apparently, I guess that's why we're seeing him at this moment, is that we're having a little bit of trouble with this. And we make an appointment. You have to make an appointment. So what basically it is, I have to come in a cup, and then I have to make an appointment at the hospital to drop it off, because you can't just show up unannounced with a cup of jizz places. It's rude. It's real rude. And on the morning that I am to fill the cup, my wife, she gets up, she teaches, and she gets up before me, and she goes to work, and on the way out, she goes, "All right, go get him, champ," and she like punches me in the shoulder, which is the worst thing she could have done for the most important jack-off of my life. Like, I've jerked off a lot in my 28 years on this planet, but this one is for all the marbles. Like, I equate it to like a sports like metaphor, where like you're under a lot of pressure to do a thing that I don't like sports. So it's like if I was the lead in a musical or something. That's okay. So it's also early. Like, I have to have it at the hospital by 7 a.m. and I'm like up and about. I take a shower, and then I'm like it's like I'm not even awake yet. I have to muster up a non-pee boner, and I have to come in a cup to like present to a panel of scientists to judge, like I'm on the worst version of American Idol. So I do the thing in it, and I don't. I'm not happy with the results. Which I told somebody that, and they were like, "What do you mean you weren't happy with the results?" And I was like, "I've never measured the volume of my load. I don't know if you have, but if you're ever feeling really good about life and everything's going your way, nothing can bring you down, why don't you beat off into a measuring cup and then get back to me about how good you feel." So I take the shitty sample that I'm giving as I perform under pressure, and I have to get it to the hospital within 30 minutes of creation, like I'm a driver for Pervert Domino's. And it also has to be body temperature, which means the lady on the phone was like, she's like, "You can either put it under your shirt or put it between your legs." And I was like, "Go slower." I decide to put it between my legs, and then I drive the 5 minutes it takes to get to the hospital. I give myself 25 minutes to get there, because I'm going to be going real slow, because I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want to make any traffic violations going to cause a police officer to be like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I'd be like, "Does it have anything to do with the erratic driving due to the cup of jizz in my lap, officer?" I also don't want to die. I don't want to get into a car accident and die, because the story in the Enterprise is not going to be local comedian dies, tragedy. It's going to be local pervert dies, jizz everywhere. Or alternately, local pervert dies, really loves dying. I did not write that line. And it bothers me so much that you laughed at it harder than my line. Okay. 6 more hours. Here we go. So I get it to the hospital. I drive it between my legs. I get it to the hospital, and we park in the... My wife is where I park in the parking lot, and for the first time I take a deep breath, and then it occurs to me for the very first time in this whole process that I am incredibly comfortable with the layout of Brockton Hospital. And it's not because I was ever a patient and I never visited a sick person. It's because between the ages of 0 and 12, every Thursday I would go to Brockton Hospital with my mother to pick up her paycheck, because that is the hospital that she did and does work at. And like a good son, I don't know what the fuck she does, so there is a much better than chance that I'm willing to have that I'm about to hand my own mother a cup of my own jizz. which is not how you want to let somebody know that they might be a grandmother. I do the first thing that comes to mind, and I make a very panicked call home. It's like 6:50. I call. It rings like 10 times. Like a groggy voice picks up, like hello, and I recognize it's my mother, and I instantly hang up. And then I walk around the hospital free, knowing that I'm not going to hand a family member a cup of my jizz, being like, this came out of me, but then it came out of you first. And later that day, the Jewish doctor from before, he calls, and I have him call my wife, because I don't. This is already the worst day of my life. I'm humiliated. I'm walking around with a cup of jizz, being like, "Do you want it? No. Where do I bring it? Do you want it? No." So I can't take any potential bad news. I give it that on my wife, and the guy calls her, and I'm paraphrasing what he says because I don't want to bog you down with the medical terminology. But he goes, your husband has dog shit for sperm and no testosterone. So just to bring you guys all up to speed, her parts suck, my parts suck. Together, we're inconceivable. Titular line. And I can explain the low testosterone. That's not a concern. I'm not concerned about it. I can explain that. All you need to do is look at my resume of character parts from the major works of the American musical theater canon or just, look through my iPod real quick. Awful lot of Sondheim. And you can treat low testosterone. All you do is you take testosterone supplements. But the problem with that is that testosterone supplements decimate your sperm count. And it just basically, it erases everything that you have left. And my sperm count, so if you ever wanted to be a sterile, aggressive asshole, testosterone. But I can't take testosterone because my numbers are real low, and we can't risk them getting lower if we're going to do this in any kind of reasonable fashion. Because the guy explains that the healthy male has, in an average load, and his words, not mine. I don't think he said load. That would be weird. I was like, you're not at my bedside, but load's definitely not the way you want to talk to me. You went to school for 25 years. The average healthy male, the average load has 20 million good sperm, which seems excessive, if you ask me, especially considering there's one egg at a time. That's right. That seems a little out of If you have to take one castle, right, and you have 20 million knights, I don't give a fuck how strong the defenses are on that castle. One of those knights is going to get through. There's 20 million knights. So 20 million sperm should fucking wiggle their way to one egg. That should be that. My sperm count is, and that's only the healthy sperm. Also, there's way more than 20 million. There's like 35 million sperm in a load. But only 20 of them are good. 10 to 15 are fucking retarded. And I mean that in the way that sounds. They have like 3 tails, some of them have 4 heads, some of them have tails coming out of every direction on their head, and they just spin around like a ninja star and slap all the good sperm into space. I don't know who these spermologists are, but they outlined it very clearly that you don't have to worry about those sperm. The good sperm still fight through. I have 8 million good sperm. So I would love to have $20 million. I would also love to have $8 million. Right? Seems pretty reasonable that you can get one egg impregnated with 8 million sperm. I also don't know how they're counting all these sperm. I don't know if they're going to one and little sperm. So I have less than half of the load of an average male. But I'm confident. I'm confident that we haven't done anything yet. I'm confident this is going to work because we're going to the reproductive centers of New England. Like all they do all day. They're doctors that put babies in old people, and we're young. So this should be a piece of cake. And we go for the, we're approved for 3 IUIs. So they're gonna 3 times in my wife, not at the same time, but over the course of 3 months we're gonna do that. And because infertility is classified as a disability in the state of Massachusetts, it's all free. My health insurance is covering all of that, because if it wasn't, we would not be talking right now, because reproductive shit like that, also expensive. Adoption, super expensive. Having a doctor squirt your own cum into your wife, really expensive. I could go on Craigslist and find a guy to fuck my wife for free. But if you want science to do it clean and clinical, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. And, sorry. So we go in for the first IUI, and I have to provide a fresh sample made on site that day. So they lead me by the, not by the hand, I don't know why I said by the hand, that would be weird. The nurse was like, come with me, little boy. They lead me to a room that I can only describe as the porn shack. And it's I go into this room, it's very small. There is a leather love seat, which is super ambitious. About 2 feet in front of the couch, there is a television, yeah, I'd say roughly that size, way bigger than the television I have at home, which if you were sitting 2 feet from that, right on eye level, you would not be able to see anything. And then there is a stack of magazines that are way more graphic than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't know you could show penetration in print. I didn't know that. So I did not touch the magazines, because that's weird. So I throw on the DVD player, because I'm in the room, might as well see what's up. And what pops up is the menu for a DVD with the most specifically generic title I've ever heard. And on the screen it says, non-stop interracial gangbang. This is not really my thing. I have, my whole life I've kept my interests in pornography very simple and wholesome. I have a friend of mine, he tells a joke about how he watched a video on the internet where a guy shoots a bear out of a tree, and then the bear falls to the ground, and then he has sex with a lady on top of that bear. And he talks about it on stage, and I went up to him after I saw him do that joke, and I go, that's not true, right? That can't be a thing that you saw. And he was like, no, it is. And that sent me down like this logic spiral for the rest of the night, where I was like, the only way he could talk about seeing a guy shoot a bear out of a tree and then have sex on a lady on top of it is if he watched a video where a guy shoots a bear out of a tree and then has sex with a lady on top of it. But he could never have watched that video, because no one would ever shoot a bear out of a tree and then have sex with a lady on top of it. But I went home and I found the video after about 20 seconds of Googling. I found it so fast that I typed into Google, guy shoots bear, and it auto-completed and then fucks a lady on top of it. And I found it in a lot of places, which means I'm in the minority. I'm one of the few and the proud that have not seen this video. And I went to move my cursor to watch it, but I couldn't do it. How could you? Who could watch that video? I couldn't. What if that becomes my thing, right? I can't run that risk. How far is that going to get me in life, right? My fucking fetish for animal murder sex videos? I don't want to be that guy. I've kept my interest in pornography very simple. I like stolen anniversary videos, stuff that's like hacked out of cell phones. I like, because to me, like, the two people in those videos have a connection, right? Like, I'll make the leap that they're in love, right? I like any video where preceding the filming of the video has been 6 months of, then why did we buy the camera? But since they don't mass market stolen honeymoon videos on DVD, and I'm not getting any cell reception, I'm either going to have to work with nonstop interracial gangbang, which I don't think I would enjoy the child that comes as a result. I think I would look at my baby and just be like, nonstop interracial gangbang, huh? So about 3 feet above the television that's 2 feet in front of me, there is a very tasteful, very dated watercolor nude. Just of like a lady lounging at a pool, like not a real person, just like a very abstract thing. And I just like the ducks from the watercolor in my fantasy. That's what I did. And I tried not to take too long. I also tried not to be too short, because I know that there are 2 people in this building that know exactly when I came in this room. There's my wife and there's the nurse that led me down here. So I also have to have the added pressure of being like a masturbating Goldilocks and like having to figure out, like, am I going too quick? Am I going too fast? What's perfect? And I get it in the thing, and then there's a metal cubby hole in the wall, and I open it, and you put your cup in the wall, and you close it, and then you flip on the light, and then on the other side of the wall, there's a scientist whose job is to open his thing, and he takes it, and he does it, and I never saw the guy that was handling my sample, but I did try to catch him a bunch of times. I was just like, are you in there? Like I was like trying to hunt a little, trying to find a thimble. I was just like, And I go downstairs, and it takes an hour for this guy to clean up my shit. They clean it, they put it in a thing, and they wash it in like a washing machine, which sounds insane. And then my wife, I don't go with my wife. They take my wife into a room I didn't ask her how it was for her, because she didn't ask how it was for me. That's our like separate secrets. But I assume her room was much classier than mine. I assume nothing was sticky. There was no leather. I assume there was like scented candles and like a TV with Downton Abbey on it as she's tilted backwards, and then science fucks her. And as we leave, the nurse sits us down and she explains that statistically, an IUI never works on the first time, because my wife has been taking a series of shots to the stomach to like boost up her eggs and all that stuff, and they just go, nobody ever gets pregnant from an IUI the first time. And I was like, oh, all right, well, but they were like, well, we have 2 more times to do it. And then they're like, yeah, and also your husband's sperm are dog shit. You're aware, right? We're throwing air in there. But I was like, not necessary. And so we go, and then 2 weeks later, she goes for a blood test to see if she's pregnant. Obviously, she's not pregnant. And then we start the second IUI, and it goes very similar to the first. They bring me to a different room. I jack off to a different watercolor nude. And they sit us down at the end of it, and they explain that my sperm are somehow exponentially getting shittier every single time. And I was just like, ooh, that's cause for alarm. They sent me to a urologist, and I was like, great, I think I have cancer. And but I don't think. I didn't go. But it goes so poorly that they surprise us. They switch it up on us, and they sit us down, and they go, we just want to let you know that we have not seen this before. Somehow your husband is getting worse and worse sperm samples, and what we're going to do is we're just going to cancel the 3rd IUI, because there's no way you're pregnant from this one. And if we just look at the charts, it's going way down, and he's not going to get pregnant the next time. So what we're going to do is we're going to schedule a meeting for 2 days before your insurance-mandated blood test, because you're not pregnant. So we're like, oh, okay. And I was like, that's great. Thank you for that. So they schedule a meeting. So how it works is, because we have to do everything, we have to cross every T and dot every I to make sure the insurance pays for this. We still have to go 2 weeks later. She has to get blood drawn. They have to tell her she's not pregnant, and then we can start the IVF, preparations and all that shit. And I told you this was going to be a bummer. And you were warned. And okay. I'm charming, right? Here we go. Sorry. When you have IUI treatments, they tell you to go home and fuck that night. They like basically they prescribe. They go like, look, if you're able to have sex, her eggs are there. We've looked, they're there. Just maybe this is a fluke. Throw as much spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks. And here's a fun challenge, guys. Try to get in the mood romantically when you've just been told you're sterile. Here's how it goes. I remember it was the opening ceremonies of the 2012 Summer Olympics. I remember that. And I remember that because when we were doing it with the sex parts that night, I remember specifically there was no eye contact, and I hurried to finish so I would not miss the opening ceremonies. Because I sure do love pageantry. And 2 weeks later, we go in and we meet with the Jewish doctor again, and it's a complete waste of time. He tells us everything that the nurse told us. He goes, look, there's no way that you're pregnant. It's just not possible with what we threw. And he's trying to be nice about it, and he tells us, like, he does all this bullshit, like, don't lose hope, you know, we're going to get there, this is what we did. I'm just like, fuck you, and all this shit. And we leave disappointed, and we're upset, and we just go home. I mean, it's a very quiet drive from, we're in Lexington, we drive back to Brockton, and it's very quiet, and we're not really speaking. And we get home, and my wife, she curls up on the couch, and I sit in the chair I sit in, and the only thing we have on our DVR is a marathon of it's like the show MTV's Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant, like, because my wife is always recording those shows, which bothers me because you don't need to. We have a DVR. You don't need to record the shows that are on all the fucking time. That show is on all the time. It's like nobody would ever record Law and Order SVU. It's on all the time. Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant, always on. Don't waste space that could be used for other things on these shows that are on demand also. You have two options. You could put the channel on and it's going to be on, or you can go on demand and watch it. But I don't say anything because she's had a shitty day, I've had a shitty day, and I sit and we watch, I don't remember which one it was, Teen Mom or 16 and Pregnant. It's basically the same show. And we watched like 4 or 5 of them in a row without speaking. And a little word of advice. If you are ever face-to-face with infertility, don't binge on a marathon of shows where slutty 16-year-olds excel at the thing you can't. That is not good for anybody involved. I sat there and I watched the show and I was just getting more and more upset and I was getting angry. And I wasn't getting mad at the girls, like the moms that get pregnant. I wasn't mad at them. I was mad at because they get tricked. They always edit the show to be like, he tricked me into thinking, like, he said that you couldn't get pregnant the first time, or he said it was in my butt. Like, that's how they edit that show, and that's how that show goes. And I'm mad at the dads, because the dads on those shows are always shitty. Every one of them is fucking shitty. And, like, I'm just like, how am I an adult? I have a job, I have a mortgage, I have health insurance, I have life insurance, I have a retirement plan. I have a retirement plan, ladies and gentlemen. I take money every month when I get paid. I get paid bi-weekly. Take money every time I get paid, and I put it in a thing for when I'm old. That's how much money I have coming in at my job. And these fucking assholes, these fucking high school dropout / fucking BMX aspiring artists, fucking skateboard kings, they prematurely ejaculated the junior prom. They have a baby on the first fucking shot, and we've been 15 fucking months with nothing. And then that's when it occurred to me that one of the ironies of life is that the time in whoops, I planned that. I was like, we're gonna get to the emotional peak of the show, I'm gonna fuck that up. And one of the ironies of life, and I learned this watching 4 hours of MTV's Teen Mom, which you would think you'd never learn anything from that show, but I learned this, is that one of the ironies of life is that the time in the human anatomy when it's the easiest for you to get pregnant, when biologically it's the simplest thing you can do, is also the time in your life when having a baby would fuck your life up the most. And that sometimes when you wait until you're financially and, more importantly, emotionally responsible, you're too late. So 2 days later, I go to work, and my wife is on summer vacation, and she goes to get her insurance-mandated blood test, even though they've told us over and over again that there's no way she could be pregnant. I don't need to go with her for that, because who fuck cares? Who cares? I don't care anymore. She goes to the thing, and I go to work. And sometimes when I go to work, I drive a pickup truck. And on this day, I happen to be driving a pickup truck, which is the manliest thing I have done in months. I'm behind the wheel of a big pickup truck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a man. But to be fair, the reason I was driving the pickup truck was to go pick up my lady boss's BlackBerry in Boston. So even at this manly moment, I'm finding ways to subvert my masculinity. And I'm driving the truck, and we get back to the garage, and my phone rings, and I see it's my wife, and she always calls. It's a Friday. She always calls at 3:30 on a Friday because she wants to see if I have a show that night, or she wants to see if we want to get dinner or whatever it is. And I always ignore the call because I get out of work at 4, and she can wait fucking 30 minutes. It's like I'm driving a fucking truck. Don't interrupt my thing. But I figure she might have just got the results from the blood test or whatever the fuck it is. So I pick it up because I want to be supportive and there for her and all that cliche horse shit. So I pick it up and I'm like, hello, and it's she's just laughing maniacally. Like, it's fucking insane, the amount of laughter. Like, it's scary. Like, it's be like if I was Batman and Joker called me in the middle of the night. That's how much laughter there is on this phone. And I'm like, what is going on? What's wrong? I don't know if she's laughing or she's crying. And she goes, she's just, we're pregnant. And I go, they said, she goes, I don't know, they called and they said we're pregnant. And I go, okay, I gotta go. And then I hang up the phone. And I park the truck. And I get in my own car. And I just drive home early. I just leave. I don't tell anybody. I just go. And I go right to CVS. And I buy a box of CVS brand pregnancy tests because I trust those way more at this point than these fucking doctors. And I go home and I hand her one and I go, pee on this. And she goes, I don't have to pee. And I was like, then drink some fucking water because this has been fucking almost 18 months. This is August, all right? We've been doing this for 18 months. It's 20 months. It's 20 months that it's been no. And now you're saying it's yes. So if you could just indulge me and pee on this, that would be real great. And she does, and 3 minutes later, it comes back positive. And I'm like, well, fucking now CVS is in on this shit. And I give her another one, and I go, pee on that one. She does, and it comes back positive, and I'm like, there might be something to this. I give her the third one. That comes back positive, and I finally accept that maybe she's pregnant. And no, okay, slow down. I got another page. And we go in 4 weeks later for the 8-week ultrasound, and if you can fucking figure out the math of pregnancy, please go right ahead. They squirt a bunch of cold shit on her, and they go like, but it's not. It's just a fucking wand right up the old vag hole. And the lady is super nice, right? She's super nice, but she's fucking working this thing like she's trying to fly a plane into my wife's puss. And she goes, oh, there's the first baby. And I'm like, that's dumb that you said first when there's only one. And then she goes, and there's the second one, and they're both fine. And yeah, that's when like everything changes. Everybody says like, oh, when I first saw my baby, everything changed. But I think I'm not there yet. But I think you go through a bunch of processes. Is when she showed me them both on this fucking thing. Like I was just like, oh, I kind of understood why the dads on Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant are so shitty. I completely give them a pass because I'm 29 and I've been trying to do this for almost 2 years. And I'm fucking freaked out. So I can't even imagine if I was fucking 16 and this was going through. And the dates, they give us these pictures they printed out, and the dates on the picture, it's September 4th, 2012, which is about 14 years and 2 weeks after that fucking abortion of a production of West Side Story. And it's 20 months. It's 20 months. It's 20 months after she asked me if I thought it would be okay if she stopped taking birth control, and I did quick math, and I realized that in 20 months it wouldn't be inconceivable for us to have had 2 babies in that time, and it looks very good that we will, but it's just going to take a little bit longer. So thank you guys for listening to that. And how about a nice round of applause for all the comedians you guys saw tonight. And Kate Maloney and Will Smalley and Pete Roger and Benny and Tom and Dave McDonough. And a nice round of applause for your host, Nate Johnson. Thank you guys. You guys don't know what it means that you came out. And we'll see you guys again. Bye.